UFC 285 is this weekend, and our main event, Jon Jones versus Ciryl Gane, is going to be for the vacated UFC heavyweight championship that was once held by Francis Ngannou and is now being fought for by both of these fighters. This is a super interesting matchup because we have Jon Jones coming off a very long 3-year layoff and Ciryl Gane being 1-1 in his last two, losing to the previous champion. Arguably could have won that in some people's eyes, but he did lose it on the scorecards. Just came off a win tied to Ibasa. So this should be super interesting. I'm going to do an in-depth breakdown of this fight. So without further ado, let's get right into it. We have the tail of the tape. We have Jon Jones and Ciryl Gane. Jon Jones 20-1, Ciryl Gane 11-1. Jon Jones will be 3 years older than Ciryl Gane at 35 years old, and Ciryl Gane being at 32. The weight, it is kind of to be determined for Jon Jones. It's been around 255, rumored at least, but it could be lower, it could be higher. We have no idea yet. But the actual weight that it shows on a couple websites for Ciryl Gane, 247. They're both 6'4", and Jon Jones will have a 3.5-inch reach advantage in this matchup. So for on the feet, the many factors in this matchup, I think Gane will be a lot better on the feet than Jon Jones. I think Jon Jones, coming back off a long layoff, coming up to the heavyweight division, it's going to be a little bit different. I think the power is going to be a little bit different. The strength is going to be a little bit different that he's going to have to adjust to. And it's been 3 years, so we don't know what he's going to look like. I guess you can kind of make that argument for a lot of things, but I think especially on the feet, just the speed of everything, it's going to be a little rough for him on the feet. I think for Gane, I think a lot of it will have to do with the movement and the footwork that he has. You saw in that Reyes fight, I think specifically the success that Reyes had was because of his movement, the fact that he was constantly moving. Or kicks. He's having a hard time in those early rounds. Same thing for Ciryl Gane, especially in the Ngannou fight. You saw he was constantly turning. He couldn't really use the power. He's constantly he'll have on the feet there. He does use really good range, Ciryl Gane does, and I think he's going to keep Jones guessing a little bit, kind of like how Reyes did. He'd move his feet, kind of did some light heavyweight, which I'll get into my next point. The speed at light heavyweight is going to be a lot faster than at heavyweight. So it's going to be a little bit different here, which makes it interesting for me, at least on the feet, for Jon Jones and Ciryl Gane. The speed at light heavyweight is a little bit different. Reyes was able to jump around and then time right where he thought Jon Jones was coming in. He was able to use his speed to connect first. For Ciryl Gane, he is a little slower than Reyes, let's be real. But I think he's going to try to do the same thing. You saw the same thing with Ngannou. When he was dancing around, he would stop and try to time and like use a teep or whatever. But I think it's going to be a lot slower for Ciryl Gane. So you'll see Jon Jones, it'll be a little bit more competitive in that area. I think Jon Jones will start to land a couple punches there. But that's what I have for on the feet. For on the ground, I think it's pretty clear to say that Jon Jones will probably school Ciryl Gane on the ground if it ever gets there. So getting the fight to the ground will probably be super tough for Jon Jones because Ciryl Gane is a very big dude. He's moving up a division, so it's going to be harder to get him to the ground. Dominic Reyes was able to stuff all of his takedowns. The reason why I'm bringing up Dominic Reyes a lot is because I think Dominic Reyes won that fight. But I also want to reference it because that was the last time we saw Jones. So I think that's a very important fight in general. So, but on the ground, I think without a doubt, Jon Jones would probably school him on the Ciryl Gane on the ground, without a doubt. When it gets to the ground, if it gets to the ground, he will absolutely school him. So there's no question there. It's just a factor. If he's able to get Ciryl Gane to the ground is the most important part here. So for what I think Ciryl Gane needs to do to win this matchup, I think he needs to be a little patient on the feet, be a super boring fighter, use that distance, use that footwork, bounce around, make see a little bit more punches land on Jon Jones, and we'll see how he reacts to that in the fight. But for Ciryl Gane, he needs to keep it a little bit base. He cannot throw kicks because that can be very dangerous. You saw in the Ngannou fight, one of his kicks got caught on Ngannou's shoulder and he got taken down. That was not a smart thing. Obviously, Ngannou's a lot stronger, more technically sound. Jon Jones could be able to get Ciryl Gane down. Ciryl Gane needs to use his range a little bit more. Like I said, the parts where I think Ciryl Gane will be better on the feet, he needs to use his range. Be a little bit more careful with some of his kicks so they don't get caught. and just use some of that boxing, time it with Jon Jones in this fight. For Jon Jones, what he needs to do to win is to close the distance, make Ciryl Gane not jump around so much, tire him out a little bit, push him against the fence, and grind him out against the fence for the early rounds. And then you'll start to see a Ciryl Gane slow down a little bit, and you can do a little bit more work in the middle of the octagon with your stand-up if he wants to do it that way. But put him against the clinch, go for takedowns, try and tire Gane out. You may be able to get some stuff done on the ground if he is able to get him to the ground, because it is going to be very tough because Ciryl Gane is a very heavy dude, and he is preparing for the takedowns and the grappling areas. So it's going to be very hard to get Gane down in this fight. But again, try to catch some of those deep kicks. You know how Gane is. I feel like my only real issue with Gane here that it kind of got exposed in that fight against Ngannou is the more like fight IQ on the ground. But more or less, I think eventually he's going to have to throw like a teep. I think it's in his nature. He likes throwing a lot of kicks. So I think it's in his nature. He's going to have to throw a kick. Not have to, but I think he will throw a kick. And it will eventually just get caught by a Jon Jones. And once he catches it, it's going to be a little bit of danger for Ciryl Gane. I think that's what Jon Jones needs to look for. He needs to look for some of those kicks. And with the slower heavyweight, he might be able to catch some of those and get him to the ground that way. And I think he needs to get it done on the ground for sure. I think Ciryl Gane is very dangerous, especially early on in this fight. He is going to be very dangerous on the feet. And I think Jon Jones needs to be a little bit wary about that. So for this matchup, I do think Jon Jones is going to win. I'm going to get into why real quick. I think Jon Jones is going to win. I think he just has better fight IQ. He's very technically sound. He's good all around. You can't really say that about a Ciryl Gane. We saw him in that Ngannou fight kind of get exposed on the ground. Although he did throw some good submissions in there also on the ground. But like, dude was rolling for heel hooks when he shouldn't be. And it got him in a really bad position, especially in that 5th round. The fight IQ was definitely not really there for a Ciryl Gane in that matchup. I think it's going to be way different, heavyweight to light heavyweight speed. I think a lot of the advantages that Dominic Reyes did have in that in that last fight with Jon Jones is that he was fast enough to break when he stopped his movement. So he would move around, break, and then time it perfectly with Jon Jones. I think for Ciryl Gane, he's going to be a little bit slower than a Dominic Reyes. And I think Jon Jones has already seen the kind of style that Ciryl Gane kind of follows, and I think Ciryl Gane's going to be a little bit slower than Dominic Reyes, and he's going to be able to see a little bit more than Dominic Reyes can. Obviously, Gane will have a little bit more power, but I think Jon Jones will be looking for that kind of stuff, blocking a little bit better, timing that stuff a little bit better, shooting for a takedown, or catching some of those kicks. Like, it's going to be a little bit slower for Ciryl Gane, and I think Jon Jones can take advantage of that because he's definitely not going to be as fast as Dominic Reyes. And I also think Jon Jones will eventually close the distance in this matchup. He already saw this kind of game plan before. I think he's going to be able to close the distance, keep him against the fence. And that's how I see this fight kind of going. Very boring early on in this match. And I think once he gets Ciryl Gane slowing down a little bit, because Ciryl Gane, honestly, he got kind of tired in that Ngannou fight. He got pretty tired. I don't want to say too early, but when Ngannou started pushing him against the fence, I'd say about like 2-3 rounds in, especially after that first takedown, Gane was super, super tired. He was not moving the same. He was not bouncing around. He had more of his feet settled. And I think that's when you'll see Jon Jones start to strike with him, because I think a lot of that bouncing is a little bit harder for Jon Jones to kind of time a little bit. So I think once Ciryl Gane gets tired after Jon Jones pushes him against the fence, tries to go for those takedowns, eventually gets Gane to work a little bit more. Maybe he gets him to the ground, catches a teep, puts him to the ground, gets Gane working a little bit more. It tires him out. And I think you're going to see Jon Jones kind of settle on the feet a little bit for Gane, where he doesn't have to worry about the movement of Gane too much. So that's how I see that fight going. So for a round by round basis, how I think this one will go. Round 1, I think Jones will be very patient on the feet. I think he's going to be kind of standing a little bit still, be super patient, just trying to see what Gane's going to do. I think Gane's going to bounce around. Jones will probably follow him a little bit. And I think probably about halfway through that round, maybe towards the end of that round, you'll see Jon Jones go towards the clinch. I think Gane will land a couple of good punches on him. I think Gane will win that round for sure. I think Jones is just going to be a little bit patient. It's been 3 years. He kind of just wants to feel how it'll be. Gane will definitely land some good punches, and I think Jon Jones will go for a clinch towards the end of that round. Kind of just grind him out a little bit. See what he can get early on in that first round. Try some things. See how Gane reacts to certain things in that first round. For the second round, I think Jones will like immediately go to the clinch. I think he's just going to tire Gane against the fence again. Just start where he went after that first round. I think he'll attempt a couple takedowns. I think he's going to go for a couple trips. Try and get Gane to the ground. I think Gane will definitely eventually get out of that position. Maybe he points him out on the feet a little bit more. Maybe he does win that round slightly, but I do think Jon Jones will probably win that round a little bit. I think he's just going to do a little bit more damage against the fence. Maybe some stomps, some kicks, maybe after they get away from that fence. So I think 2 is going to be a super close round. The second round is going to be super close. For the third round, I think Jon Jones is going to go for a clinch again. I think we'll see Gane kind of defend a little bit more, kind of turn him around or like move out of the way a little bit. And I think we'll see Gane go for like a teep. I think he's going to hold a range a little bit more. He doesn't want Jon Jones getting close. So I think Jon Jones will probably start walking him down a little bit, and Gane will throw a teep. Jones catches the teep, grabs his leg, and then just kind of kicks the other leg out from under him. I think he gets him to the ground, maybe hops on his back or hops on like side control or something, and kind of just grinds him out there. Just kind of doesn't want to take too many risks on the ground. Jon Jones, he doesn't want to take too many risks on the ground. Wants Gane to start working, because if he kind of lets up and tries to go into an advanced position, it gives a chance for Gane, who I believe is probably more built for the heavyweight division for sure. I've seen some of the pictures of Jones's like photo shoot of the week. He is a little bit chunky in the belly. So obviously a Gane who is more built for that division is going to be a little bit stronger, I think. And I think it'll be a little bit easier for him to get up. So I think Jon Jones is going to be a little bit more safer on the ground when he does take him there. I think Gane's going to try and get out of that position. I think he's going to end up tiring himself out. In the fourth round, I think Jon Jones is going to go for the clinch again. I think he's going to try for a trip. I think he eventually gets him down because Gane's going to be tired. I think Gane eventually gets up, and I think Jones is going to start settling on the feet there. And when Gane starts tiring out, he's not going to be moving as well again. I think it's going to be a little bit easier for Jon Jones to strike with him. That's why I'm saying fourth round, I think it's going to be a little bit easier for Jon to strike with him. I think he's going to win that round for sure. So I have 3, 4 as wins for Jon Jones. Second's going to be close. I have a 1 for a win. Okay, round 1 for a win for Gane, because I think he just outstrikes him on the feet before Jon Jones goes for a clinch. I think 2 is going to be a super close round, but I think I might edge it to either fighter. But I think 3 and 4 are going to be super clear rounds for Jon Jones. And I think in the 5th round, Gane's probably going to take some risks there, but I think Jon Jones is going to be able to hold him in the clinch if he ever gets in a dangerous situation, or eventually a tired Gane who isn't going to be moving as well. I think Jon Jones is going to be able to outstrike him on the feet or get advantage and maybe take him down if Gane gives him something. So I think Jon Jones wins that last round. I think we have like a pretty close decision here, 48-47, maybe a 49-46, but I'll probably say 48-47 decision here. This could be a little bit of a snoozer of a matchup. Both of these guys are very patient on the feet, so we'll see how this one goes. But that's what I have here. A lot of people are picking Gane, but I do think Jon Jones does have a little bit of advantage here. He did put on some more weight, and he says he's been using some of that power in camp, and he's been taking down guys all the time. But I think it's a different speed that he's used to here. So I think he's used to the speed at light heavyweight. Heavyweight's going to be a little bit easier for him to see. That style that Dominic Reyes used isn't going to be as effective at heavyweight because they're not as fast. And I think eventually, as the fight goes on, it's going to slow down for Ciryl Gane. Or I'm sorry, Ciryl Gane's going to slow down, and it's going to be a little bit easier for Jon Jones to work. So I'm going to go Jon Jones, 48-47 decision in this matchup. Let me know in the comments below who you think will win this matchup. I have Jon Jones by a 48-47 decision. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time.